I just can't believe that this is my 100th upload. Can we just have a moment for these daffodils? Spring is finally here and I couldn't be happier. I love spring so much. It's pretty much the best time of the year. Today's video is my 100th upload. I really didn't think that I would last this long uploading content to YouTube. I actually never thought I would even get here, to be honest. I was just so camera shy and I don't know, I just didn't think I would get here, and here I am. I remember how weird it felt the first time I tried to film a video, just sitting alone in front of the camera, talking to a camera with no one else around, and thinking out how I would even put that out into the world, out onto the internet for other people to view. It all just felt so daunting, just sort of hoping that I would get over my stage fright and that somebody out there would enjoy the content that I was making. It felt very awkward and a little attention seeking and honestly just really embarrassing, but somehow here we are at video 100. I really wanted to not only make this video to celebrate my 100th upload, but also share with you some of the tips that I've learned throughout this journey, through creating, sharing, messing up, and just growing in this process. So if you're someone who's feeling a little bit stuck and isn't sure how to just start, I hope these tips help you move forward in your own YouTube journey as well. So here are 14 things that I've learned after uploading 100 videos. Well, technically 99. This is my 100th video. But you know what I mean. Let's just get into it. I'm gonna be looking at my phone a little bit throughout this video because I do have a lot of notes. Okay, so my number one tip is age doesn't matter. It does not matter. I started my YouTube channel in my 30s. I was 33 and I'm on year 2. Something that was really holding me back in the beginning, especially after I turned 30, and I don't know why I had this mindset, but in my head, YouTube was for the 20-somethings. Like if I wanted to start a YouTube channel, I should have done it in my 20s, and I'm too late. There's no room for me in this space. I'm too old. That's honestly such a limiting mindset, and I don't know why I thought that. If you have a similar mindset, will you let me know? Because I feel like in my 30s, I was supposed to be like this more mature version of myself, and YouTube wasn't like categorized in that mature version of me. That thinking was probably directly related to the content that I was consuming at the time. I found YouTube through, I was actually looking up how to highlight my own hair with like an at-home balayage kit, and I started finding all of these lifestyle influencers through that search. Travel vloggers, lifestyle influencers. So I was about 23-ish when I discovered these types of channels, these vloggers. Yeah, I started watching YouTube more regularly, more like TV shows, and I felt like I was sort of peeking into these people's lives, and I found it really interesting. And I had wanted to start a channel as well. I was just too afraid to start, and so I just never pursued starting my channel. Just to go back to my point, age doesn't matter. I'm subscribed to channels from people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Just find it really interesting to consume content from all different types of creators of all different ages, and that kind of opened my eyes up, seeing that there is really room for everyone, and that 35 is not old, it's not too old, 30 is not too old. There is no such thing as too old, and I'm really glad I got out of that mindset and that we can move past that, and you can start something new at any age and it doesn't matter. So that's my first tip. My next tip is that you won't make money right away, and you shouldn't start YouTube with the expectation to make money. I think that's a common misconception, that a lot of people think that they will go viral or create like a successful YouTube channel overnight, and that might be the exception. Some people might do that, but that's not going to be the rule. And you know, I will say that the idea of creating revenue from AdSense or brand deals, that is definitely something that's just like in the back of my mind, where I'm like, maybe someday that will happen, but I think you really need to enjoy the process of filming and creating, editing. And if you don't enjoy that creative process, then it will definitely show in your videos. I actually heard a creator talk about this in a way that sort of reframed it for me. She kind of viewed the first several years of being on YouTube in the sense of getting your college degree. And so she was kind of saying, like, frame YouTube in that same way. Like, you're working for free. You're kind of at YouTube University for the first, 3-4 years before you actually start making money. So, look at it like you're learning all of these skills, and then maybe eventually you'll make money. Maybe you'll never turn AdSense on. You don't care about that part of it. But for me, I definitely do have the intention of growing and becoming monetized eventually, but I know that that's not something that'll happen overnight. And the things that I've gained from doing YouTube and uploading 100 videos so far are honestly just worth more than money. And that's something I didn't expect. Because my mindset originally was, oh, I'll make YouTube videos and I'll get free products sent to me. I'll get a YouTube paycheck or whatever. Like, I just kind of framed it in my head as I'm going to start this to create another source of income for myself. And I found that I just love, I already knew that I love the creative process, but just this format of the creative process of filming and editing is so much fun. And I don't think I would have made it to 100 videos if I didn't enjoy the process. So just take that into consideration. I think I've learned just so much more than the monetary value of getting a paycheck. I've learned a lot of new editing skills I didn't know before. I'm learning Final Cut Pro right now, and it is definitely a learning curve, but I think it's definitely a skill that will be useful. I've become so much more confident talking to the camera. That's a huge skill. And I take that with me into my job because now I feel more confident in meetings speaking on camera. Whereas before I was really, I was like the person who never wanted to have my camera turned on because I just didn't want to see myself. I feel like I've gained a lot of life skills just in the 2 years that I've been posting to YouTube. And I'm excited to see how else I grow as I continue down this path. I think it's also nice to learn and grow while you don't have a ton of eyes on you as well. That's tip number 2. You're probably not going to make money overnight, even within a year. Even within 2 or 3 years, you might not make any money. Tip number 3 is that confidence comes from consistency. And kind of along the same lines, confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. I know I've said that before. I read it in an Ed Milet book. I've heard it on a million podcasts. Everybody says it. Confidence comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. It goes hand in hand with consistency. Confidence comes from consistently showing up. Talking in front of the camera does get a lot easier. In the beginning, I couldn't even look at myself in the viewfinder. I was constantly nitpicking myself, which we'll get to in a later tip. But I feel so much more confident talking to the camera. I feel like I can actually do this in front of other people sometimes. Sometimes my nerves creep in, but I do feel a lot more confident in front of the camera, and I think that just comes with doing this over and over every single week, having a weekly upload, and forcing myself to just push past the cringe. I feel like I've just grown more comfortable than I ever would have thought that I could be in front of the camera. I can't tell you how much content I recorded that never even saw the light of day, that just got deleted immediately. Something that helped me that might help you, besides the consistency thing, because everything does just get easier the more you do it. But one thing that really helped me, imagining that the camera is just like me FaceTiming a friend, catching up. How would I talk to them? How would I tell them about my day or what's going on in my life? It feels more natural to speak like you're speaking to a friend. So just pretend the camera is a friend. That really kind of changed the energy for me, going from just just a very stiff type demeanor to just feeling a little bit more like free in this space. It shouldn't feel awkward, but I know it does. It really does. But you will get past it and it will be easier. So just keep going, keep talking to the camera, be consistent, and it'll get easier. The fact that I'm sitting here talking to you, doing this video in just like a more free-flowing way is just proof that after 100 videos, you will feel more comfortable talking to the camera and it will be less awkward. Okay, so that kind of brings me into tip number 4, which is you will cringe at yourself sometimes, and that's totally normal. There's moments where I look back, and especially during editing, and I'm just like, oh my god, why are you like that? Why did you say that? Like, you are so cringy. For instance, I don't love how many times I say like. That's just a part of how I've always talked, and it's just a part of me. But please know that I do sit here and I edit like almost half of the likes that I say out of the video because I find it incredibly annoying. Like, not when other people do it, but specifically when I watch myself back and I just see how many times I say like, I'm annoyed with myself. Why do you do that? However, it is me, and this is my channel and my video diary, and I don't know, all I can do is just try to catch myself and stop saying it so much. Yeah, I definitely cringe at myself. Don't be so hard on yourself, because growth comes with a little bit of cringe, and that's just part of the process. Okay, so tip number 5, and this is something I think that everybody who considers starting a YouTube channel kind of has to grapple with. That is, what if people make fun of me? And we're gonna have to thank Mel Robbins for this one, because to that we say, let them. I just finished the Let Them theory. Go check that book out if you're feeling like you're worried about what other people think of you. I think that is a very common human experience, and something that I've experienced in my life many times, just overthinking in my head, worried about what I'm saying, like how people perceive me. If someone is judging you for trying, we just have to let them, you know? It's not my problem if somebody feels a particular way about me, and I may never know, which is also great news, because then I can care even less, you know? I actually have a story about this because I experienced this kind of secondhand. Somebody wasn't talking about me, but they were talking about somebody else. And this was years ago when I kind of secretly wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I was having lunch with a friend and they mentioned that somebody they knew had started a YouTube channel and that they wanted to be an influencer, and it kind of was making fun of them in a way. She kind of was saying it in a way that was sort of like she was embarrassed for them. And I kind of remember feeling secondhand shame because at the time I wanted to create a YouTube channel. I was consuming a lot of influencer style content, and in the back of my mind I was like, wow, good for her. That's so scary, because I was also very, very nervous and scared to try to start my own channel, and I was sort of like cheering this girl on, being like, wow, she actually started a channel, and here's someone who knows her kind of making fun of her for it. And that experience for me was kind of like a little bit eye-opening, because even people who are kind of in your closest circle, they could talk about you, they could find your channel embarrassing. And again, we just have to let them feel their feelings, let them say what they're gonna say. You'll never know, so that's the beauty of it. And your true friends will support you, like, you know who they are. Here's the thing, people you know who you haven't seen or spoke to in years will see your videos, and they might make fun of it, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. Most people aren't thinking about you that much, if at all. If you find out somebody is saying mean things about you, then, you know, that's more on them than it is on you. This isn't their life, this isn't their channel, and you're not doing it for them, so it doesn't matter. Just keep going. That's all you can do. That's my advice there. And that kind of leads me to my next point. Tip number 6 is nobody cares what you look like. So this is something that I'm gonna get a little vulnerable with you on. I used to really pick myself apart pretty bad in videos, and I still find myself doing this sometimes, but I would point out my acne or say something about what my appearance looked like in a video in a way that was like, I know I look bad right now. Like, I don't need you to tell me. I think this just came from kind of a deeper insecurity of always kind of nitpicking myself and comparing myself to others. This really turned into this mean little voice in my head. It's like, if only I had clearer skin, or if only I looked this certain way, I would be more confident and happier, and my videos would do better, and this would just be easier. It really got in my way, and it made me feel even worse about myself, you know? And I would really just get in my head and just tear myself apart. That's embarrassing because looks are kind of a shallow thing to be putting that much attention towards, but I felt just a lot of deep insecurities. The more I leaned into that kind of mindset of picking myself apart, the more I really just started hating myself, especially during the editing process. I would just be really unhappy. I'm not sure where that mindset came from. One day I just was like, what are you doing? And at some point I just had to stop and ask myself, like, why am I being so mean to myself? Through this process of filming and editing and seeing myself on camera, I started to look past all of those little flaws that I was nitpicking about myself, and finding that those are the things that actually make me unique. And yeah, I just found a lot of self-love and more compassion, and I think just finding ways to treat myself a little kinder. And that made me happier, which, you know, obviously we don't need to hurt our own feelings. Like, what is the point of that, you know? Now that I look back on some of those earlier videos, I feel really sad for that version of myself, because I was doing something really brave by stepping outside of my comfort zone and filming myself and putting these videos up on the internet. And I was criticizing her the whole time, telling her, you shouldn't be filming yourself. You're so uncool. What are you trying to do? Like, I was that person who was beating myself up and feeling embarrassed for myself, rather than lifting myself up and being proud of this accomplishment and trying something new. If you can take one thing away from this video, let that be it. Stop. Gosh, I don't know why. It kind of makes me feel kind of emotional. Just be kind to yourself. Like, you're not perfect. People aren't here for perfection. They're not watching your videos because you're perfect. They're watching your videos for your energy, your vibe, and your relatability, and to learn something from you. So stop trying to be perfect. Nobody is. And be kind to yourself. Number 7 is that you need to enjoy yourself. If you're not having fun, it really shows. If you are just filming for the sake of filming, I think that comes through in the video, and you can kind of sense when somebody's just not in it because they love doing this. A specific example I have is there were a few times in the first year that I was on YouTube where I was really treating this like it needed to be a job. And I understand that mindset where, you know, the algorithm does reward consistency. If I missed an upload, I would just be so bummed at myself. There were like a few videos where I could tell that I was visibly annoyed because I hadn't made time to film, and I would just like whip out the camera and be like, okay, here's another one, like here's this week's video. I think that came through, that I was just kind of forcing content for the sake of uploading content. And I understand that, you know, the consistency is important, but if you miss a video, it's not the end of the world. I've missed a whole month of videos in the past, and you know, that might stunt my growth on the channel with the algorithm and how YouTube favors my videos. But if I need the space, step back and recover from a little bit of burnout, that's okay. This needs to be fun for you to actually want to keep doing it. So make the space you need when you need it, and enjoy the process. Number 8, you don't have to film everything. We don't need to film every single day just to get, you know, content by the end of the week. My recommendation is to have a clear start and end point of how you want to capture your day. You don't have to film everything. You don't need to share everything about your life either. I'm very intentional now about some of the things that I'm sharing online. There's a balance. So with that, I just don't think you need to look at your entire life as like one giant piece of content. Be intentional with the memories you're capturing, and that's plenty. You don't need to share every single little thing. Tip number 9 is you don't need to have it all figured out. And by that, I mean, you don't need to have a perfect brand. You don't need to have a marketing strategy. You don't need to have a niche. You don't even need a long-term plan. You just need to start your first video, start filming, try things out and let them evolve. Figure out your editing styles. How do you like your thumbnails edited? Like, I have experimented with all these types of things, and it's fun. It makes it interesting. I'm not approaching this as if it's a business, which I know some people do, and that's totally okay. But what's fun for me is to just test it out, test different things. Everything doesn't need to be figured out, and you'll get there eventually. You can brand your channel down the road and figure out what fonts you like to use and kind of create your own little brand identity, but it doesn't have to be the first thing you do. I think that can cause stall for people, or a paralysis of getting started, because and it has for me in the past too, because you can get really caught up in how you want everything to look and feel. And if you've never put a YouTube video out there, you are new to the entire process. Let it evolve, and that's how you find your voice. And I think that's incredibly important, to experiment, find your style, find your voice. Don't back yourself into a corner of where you're only creating one type of content, because I think that would get boring fairly quickly for most people. Maybe not for some, but it's just fun to have kind of a really broad subject range that you cover, because then anything could become a video. Some of the most fun that I've had has come from experimenting. I've changed up my thumbnail style so many times. I've tried layouts that haven't performed well, switched the thumbnail, performed a little bit better. But again, this isn't really about how videos perform. That's a bonus, right? Like, the fun part is the process and the learning, and you don't, necessarily want to be chasing the algorithm. So do whatever you want and make it fun. So tip number 10 is every video you make is a step forward, even if it flops, right? Some videos perform better than others, but every video you make teaches you something. So for every upload, you have gained skills, knowledge, your voice, and you're growing. So I think it's worth it to continue to just keep going. Even if the video does bad, your next video could be a hit. Some of the best videos that I've made have been kind of on the fly. I've just sat down and made like a list, and the video performed really well. Videos that I've spent days editing and have felt really proud of have gotten the least amount of views. And that can be very discouraging, but just keep going. It's okay that a video doesn't get views, and that's just a part of it. So that kind of brings me to tip number, what am I on? 11? So tip number 11 is film when you're inspired. So by that, I mean, if you have an idea and you're getting really excited about it, start filming. I feel like ideas and motivation often come to me, kind of a rush of energy behind them. And I feel like that some ideas can have a bit of an expiration. And if you don't sit down to kind of use that energy immediately, it might disappear. I think that kind of comes with that kind of overthinking the process or doing too much research, where you have this spark of an idea, and then you have all this time to kind of talk yourself out of it. So I think that some of my best videos, again, have come from having the idea, jotting down a little script of talking points that I don't want to skip over, and start filming. Tip number 12, you'll probably surprise yourself. For moments where I scroll through my video uploads, I have kind of a moment where I think to myself, like, oh my gosh, wow, I actually created this many videos, and I feel a big sense of accomplishment, because I really just never thought that I would. It's really easy to kind of downplay when you upload a video, and look past all of the hard work that you've put into it because you're so close to it and you might just not think anything of it. So sometimes you don't really even see your own growth until you step back and look at everything that you've created. I still think that if, you know, talking to a camera or talking in front of people doesn't come easy to you, look back at your YouTube videos and the consistency and your growth, and you'll surprise yourself, you know? That's kind of the whole point of this tip. And I can't wait till I get to like 300 uploads and 500 uploads and step back and kind of see the growth of each of those videos and the things that I've learned along the way. So I definitely intend to keep going, and I've definitely surprised myself by even getting here to 100 uploads. So tip number 13 is you will find your people. And by that I mean, even as a small channel, I've received some really kind comments from people that I don't even know, and I think that's just really, really cool. I think the community on YouTube is just a really great space to create in. It's really easy to feel like you're just posting into a void. Even if you're just sharing your life with a few people and you only receive a few comments, it's still just really cool to have that community. Yeah, you'll find your people and you'll find your kind of like community within YouTube. I think YouTube is just a really cool space to grow, and there's just a lot of really great people on the platform who are there to support and also who are there as creators. Number 14, just start. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to have a perfect script or a perfect set. Just start. I waited until I felt ready to start a YouTube channel. Literally 10 years went by and I hadn't started. And I look back at my past self when I was 23, consuming content on YouTube, thinking I really wanted to start a channel. I wish I had some of those memories recorded, because a lot of those times were my husband and I finding our first apartment in Seattle, my first kind of big girl job, just kind of learning who I was. I don't know, I really wish that I had started sooner, and I don't look back with regret of not starting, but my advice to you is to just start. If you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel and you are waiting for something to be perfect, nothing will ever be perfect, and you know, life just keeps going. So here I am 12 years later, 100 videos later. I think that's my biggest advice, is to just start messy and figure everything out as you go. So I think that's gonna be it for this video. Those are my 14 tips that I've learned over the past 2 years uploading videos to YouTube. And watching this and you've been feeling like you wanna start a YouTube channel, take this as your sign to start. Don't wait any longer, just upload your first video. Whether you have just stumbled upon this video or you've been here for all 100, thank you so much for watching, and please give this video a like, subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and that's it, and I will see you next week. Bye!